today we're going to rank every MLB team's 2025 hit celebrations. And this is the second year I've done this, but I'll give you a quick refresher on the rules. So we are only looking at singles, doubles, and triples here. No home run celebrations this time. Future video coming on that for sure. And very quickly, this is how I'm looking to rank this year. So in my opinion, a C tier is perfectly average. Anything above a C tier is above average. Anything below a C tier is below average. So D tier is clearly below average and F is just awful. And there are a few Fs this year. B is above average, A is like really great, and then S is reserved for just the best of the best. And for me personally, when I'm looking at these celebrations, I'm looking for a few things. I'm looking for participation across the team. I'm looking for how much fun everybody's having. I'm looking at how like unique and original the celebration is. And me personally, I love a good progression. So the single and the double and the triple keeps building into something different. So overall, I thought this was a really good year for celebrations, especially in the NL. Lots of fun ones. Very excited. So let's just jump right in. We're going to start with the AL this year. We're going to start with the Toronto Blue Jays. And so the main one for singles for them is they just go, yup, which I think is fun. And then for doubles, they go, yup, and then they go, yada-da-da-da. Decent participation. Some people don't really do anything like Bo Bichette, but this is more than he did last year, so that's good. I think it's really fun. Good energy here. We can see Alejandro Kirk getting into it, and I think yup is pretty satisfying for a single. Looks like they don't have anything original for a triple. We can see Springer just doing yup here, so I think this is definitely above average celebration, but just some of the enthusiasm is lacking on this team. So for that reason, I'm going to keep them in a solid above average tier. I'm going to put them in the B tier, but nice job by the Blue Jays. Okay, next up, we've got the New York Yankees, and for them, they just sort of do a point and skadoosh. And in my opinion, this is so disappointing from the Yankees. I mean, come on, just a point. I think you do a point for a single and then you do a skadoosh for a double. And you know I like a progression and there's good participation, but in my opinion, this is just way too chill, way too low key. I mean, it's like you just hit a double, you're Aaron Judge. Let's get the party going here a little bit. So I appreciate how everybody's bought in. I appreciate a progression. So I am going to put them in C tier, but I really think the Yankees have to step it up. I really want to see them have a little bit more energy on the celebration. I think Jazz Chisholm, it's killing him to only have to do a point. So C tier for the Yankees. Next up, we've got the Tampa Bay Rays, and for them, it's just grenades across the board. Not really any progression, just grenades for singles, doubles, triples. This is not a bad celebration. This is solid in my opinion. I mean, if you get a single, you go, oh, grenade, boom. I think that's fun, but it is a little bit low key, and they're also not the first team that's ever done this. Plus, when I'm thinking about last year, the Rays had a really cool celebration. They made the first letter of their first name with their hands, which I thought was really cool. So this is a little bit disappointing, but grenade is a solid celebration. So I like the participation across the team. I'm going to put them solidly in C tier. I think this is a very solid celebration. Okay, next up, we've got the Boston Red Sox, and with them, it's an old-timey film camera. I believe that's what it is. Could be a reference to their Netflix documentary last year. Apparently, Romy Gonzalez came up with this. Appreciate that this is unique. I haven't seen any team do this before. Really, really great participation as well. Everybody has bought into this. Jarren Duran especially. You know, it's not the most hype celebration in the world, but definitely above average. Definitely unique. No progression, which takes a little bit of points off. So I'm going to go B tier, but I really like this celebration. Good job by the Red Sox. And wrapping up the AL East, we've got the Baltimore Orioles, and theirs is the same as last year. It's really fun. So I'm assuming most of you know it by now, but if you don't, it starts with a single where you turn the knob, and then for a double, you just let it spray, and the guys on the dugout go crazy. The recent addition has been a guy named Mr. Splash who goes in the outfield and soaks this section if you sit there for every extra base hit, which I think is hilarious. So really great participation. It's a great progression. It's so creative. This is the only celebration that's actually grown past the players and has really become something bigger, part of their like whole identity, which I think is really cool. I think it's so tough to beat this one. My only thing is they've been doing it for like 3 or 4 years now, and they're not having the best season, so I wonder if they might eventually need to switch it up just for the vibe's sake. Plus, some fans might be feeling like it's a little stale at this point. But yeah, I don't know if you can get rid of it now. Everybody's sort of bought in. Mr. Splash is going to be out of a job, so yeah, I think this is an iconic celebration. I think it still belongs in the S tier. Okay, and keeping it going with great celebrations, we've got the Detroit Tigers. So the Tigers do wipe it off for a single, and then on second base, they go bone saw. This is so fun. So I didn't realize this. The Bonesaw is a reference to the first Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man fights this guy Bonesaw in a cage match, and we can see the fans making the Bonesaw motion here. Apparently that's a reference. Tommy Canley apparently wears a lot of cool wrestler shirts, so that's sort of where it came from. I really like the Bonesaw. I think this is a great deep cut. I think it's very original. I think everybody on the team really likes it. Clearly, they have a lot of great vibes, so I just really like this. I think Bonesaw is really, really fun. Tigers, I'm putting in the A tier. Next up, we got the Minnesota Twins, and theirs is pretty simple. It's just call me here. Twins fans seem to think that this is like poking fun at Harrison Bader, but not exactly sure. Twins fans, maybe help me out in the comments if that's true. Either way, I think this is pretty fun. There's pretty good energy across the team. I'm sure they're not the first team to ever do call me, but I like that it's call me, and it's also sort of like a little keep it going thing too. So I think there's a good energy on this. I think this is a solid celebration across the board. I also think Harrison Bader is probably one of the top 5 guys in the league for this celebration sort of thing, so he's just going to help your team no matter what. So I'm going to put the Twins in C tier. Okay, next up we've got the Chicago White Sox, and I am so sorry, White Sox fans, but this is another bad year for celebrations. So from what I can gather, basically you just point to the dugout, and this is the same celebration they had last year. White Sox fans, I am so sorry, but this is so bad. I mean, I would really rather you just don't do anything. If you get on second base and make this sad of a point motion to the bench, I mean, as a fan, that is just brutal to watch. Yeah, I legitimately would rather you don't do anything. So I am really sorry, White Sox fans, but this is 2 years in a row I've got to put you in the F tier. Okay, next up we got the Kansas City Royals, and for them they do Hang 10, and I have a very strong opinion about Hang 10. There's actually a couple teams that do Hang 10 this year, so I'm just going to get this out of the way right now. I think Hang 10 is really overdone. I think it is boring. It's definitely like a tier above Salute or a Point or Rock On, but this is still very common. I've seen a lot of teams do Hang 10. It's just like, could we have thought of something else, like really Hang 10 in 2025? Now, some of you might say, okay, that looks very similar to the Twins Call Me, which is totally fair, but I can think of a few differences between Hang 10 and Call Me. So first of all, I think Call Me is kind of funny, while Hang 10 is just not really. Number 2, I think the Twins had a little bit more energy. I could be wrong on that, but it felt like the Twins had a little more energy. And then number 3, Call Me just feels a lot more original, while Hang 10 is pretty overdone. So yeah, you can feel free to disagree, but I think Hang 10 should be retired forever. I don't think it should be allowed anymore. So I'm going to put the Royals in the D tier. And next up, we've got the Cleveland Guardians, and they have actually just debuted a brand new celebration. So this is breaking news. So they started the year with Wave for a single and then Eating for a double, which are pretty good, but now they've graduated to doing the Boat Kid, and if you're on the internet lately, you know who the Boat Kid is. This is such a cool celebration. The Guardians are actually really good with trends. If you remember last year, Josh Naylor was doing What's Up Brother when that was released, so the Guardians are tapped in. I really like all 3 of these celebrations. So Wave and Eat are both pretty good, solidly B tier celebrations, and Boat Kid has got to be A tier. That is such a good reference. The only reason why I hesitate to put it in A tier right away is just because it's brand new, so I don't have enough data yet to like confirm everybody's doing it, everybody's bought in. But if they keep doing it and the energy stays like this is an easy A tier, so I'll keep my eye out for that, and I'll make an amendment if and when that happens. Okay, next up we got the Houston Astros, and unfortunately I could not really find a celebration for them. This is 2 years in a row now where I could not find a celebration. Sometimes it kind of looks like they're trying something, but then when you watch the whole game, not everybody does it. So I have not seen anything consistent. A lot of times they do nothing, and actually their bullpen is mad at the hitters because the hitters always forget to point to the bullpen when they hit a double or a home run. So yeah, I don't think the Astros are good at celebrations. So unfortunately, I have to put them in the F tier. I'm sorry, Astros fans. But we're going to go from one of the worst teams at celebrations to one of the best, and it is the Seattle Mariners. Now, the Mariners are different because they have individual celebrations, not a team celebration. But the individual ones are just so good. So JP Crawford has his bow and arrow. Randy's got his pose here. Cal Raleigh has that. I think you know what that is. And yeah, it's just like really, really fun vibes on the Mariners again. It just seems like they're having so much fun on the bases. And to me, that's the most important thing. Plus, everybody's bought in, everybody's celebrating. So I just really love the vibe of the Mariners again. So they're going right back into A tier. Great job, Mariners. Okay, next up, we've got the Angels, and we've got another Call Me in the mix. Nolan Shanaway kind of does a Rock On, which you know is my least favorite. So yeah, Call Me is sort of the same thing that the Twins do, but in my opinion, this is just a lower level version of this. It feels like a lot of the guys are just kind of going through the motions. There's not a lot of sauce behind it. So I had Twins in C tier, so Angels are a tier below that in my opinion, so they're going in the D tier. And next up, we've got the Texas Rangers, and I kind of like their progression. So for a single, they do a Rubik's Cube, and then when they get a double, they sort of do shave it off the top, and then boom. I looked all over for this. I could not figure out what this is, so Rangers fans, please enlighten me on what this is. I think this is a really fun combo. It's an above average for sure, But the problem is the participation is just not great across the board. A bunch of guys don't do it. Semyon's not quite sure what to do. So yeah, they're kind of right between that B and C tier. I think Rubik's Cube is really fun. I like that one for a double. It's definitely original. I wish more guys would do it, but you know what? I'm going to put Rangers in the B tier. I'm feeling generous today. Rangers, this is a pretty good celebration. I like this one. And finally, wrapping up the AL, we have the team formerly known as the Oakland Athletics, now just the A's, and they sort of have two different celebrations. I'm not sure which is their main one at this point. We've kind of got this rolling dice one, and then we got this no Dikembe Mutombo one in there. So I think both of these are really fun. I think the rolling dice, obviously we'll see a slightly better version later in the video. I think that one is cool. I think Tyler Soderstrom really does it the best. The Dikembe Mutombo one's got to feel satisfying, a little sassy, good energy, solid participation. So A's are going to go solidly B tier. This is an above average celebration. Okay, and that is our full AL list. Now we're going to jump over to the NL. We're going to start with one of the best teams at celebration, and that is the New York Mets. And the Mets kind of have an interesting one. They just sort of do roll it and punch it up. Roll it, punch it up. A bunch of people have asked the Mets what it means, and they are not answering. The one thing that fans maybe think is sort of this move from the movie Dodgeball. Ben Stiller's character does this, but I'm not exactly sure. Keep it rolling is sort of my first thought. And then sort of the ending here is like up yours, you know? That seems very Pete Alonso coded. The thing that's funny about the celebration is at the beginning of the year, we can see Alonso and Mark Vientos have a different interpretation of the celebration, and I'm pretty sure the league was like, hey, you can't do that. That's way too bad. So they don't do that anymore, so they sort of have this up yours interpretation. And yeah, the thing about the Mets is that everybody does it. They always are having fun with it. They consistently have one of the best participation across the board. So yeah, it's original, it's fun, it's got a good energy, so I'm putting them back in the A tier. Good job by the Mets, and good job cleaning up this celebration. Okay, next up we've got the Atlanta Braves, and it just kind of looks like this. My first thought was, oh, that's pretty low-key, but the meaning behind it is actually really cool. So it's peace up. I'm going to sound so lame when I say this. Peace up, A-Town down. So if you think about how the motion that they're making, that's why they go up, down with that. And that, of course, that's how that Usher song starts. I'm sorry, I sound so washed here, but anyway, that's the reference. So I think this is really cool. That's a great like local reference, Atlanta reference. And it also kind of feels a little bit like an and one. Another great year for participation across the board for the Braves. You know, it's nothing crazy, but I like the reference behind it. I think and one is a pretty cool gesture. So it's a little bit more low key, but I think this is well thought out. So the Braves are solidly going to go in the B tier. Okay, next up, we've got the Miami Marlins. And for theirs, they sort of do this liftoff thing. Again, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it looks like some sort of, you know, liftoff. Makes sense. They're sort of like a young team. They're trying to ramp up, go to the next level. Pretty good participation across the board. Also feels original. I haven't seen this one before, but it's just a tad low key for me. It's a little too low key to bump them up into that B tier, but I appreciate everybody's bought in. I think this is a solid, good, you know, middle of the pack celebration. So I'm going to put them in the C tier. All right. Next up, we've got the Philadelphia Phillies, and theirs is a little bit better than last year. Sort of this little like hanging out thing. Again, the team beat writers have like pressed them for this over and over again. And all the Phillies sort of refuse to say what this is, which fair enough. So without knowing the meaning, again, it's just a little bit too low key. This is a veteran Phillies team. They always keep it very chill. I'm not sure what it means. So it's very hard for me to rank it, but it just seems very low key. But so just from the eye test, it's somewhere between a C or a D. I'm going to put them in D tier for now, but if we find out that there's a better message behind it, they have that chance to bump up to a C. But yeah, D tier for now for the Phils. Okay, next up we've got the Washington Nationals, and theirs is also pretty low-key. It's kind of like this raise the bar type celebration. Pretty good participation across the board. It's just pretty low key. Again, I want a really exciting celebration if I get on base. I finally get a hit. I want to do something fun. And you just sort of do, meh. You know, for me as a fan and maybe as a player, I feel like that's a little disappointing. They do have this variation for a double, which I have no idea what that is. And I appreciate how original it is, but it just feels a little too low key for me. So unfortunately, I think this is below average. So I'm going to put the Nats in the D tier. Their celebration last year was so fun. So I'm a little bit disappointed, honestly. But picking things up, we're going to the Cincinnati Reds, and I just love this progression. So for a single, they do like a truck driver blowing his horn kind of deal. For doubles, they roll the dice. And then for triples, they go all in by like pushing the poker chips forward. And I love this. I love a progression. I'm not exactly sure how truck driver goes into rolling dice, but they are really excited to roll the dice. I mean, there's some great rolls. And then when you get to third and you do it all in, I think that is so fun. We can see Austin Hayes is really into it here. This is a great progression. It's like borderline S tier in my opinion, but I'm not quite sure why truck driver goes into rolling dice. So that holds them back a little bit, but this is an awesome celebration. Great job by the Reds. This is definitely an A-tier celebration. Okay, next up we got the Chicago Cubs, and I've seen a few variations, but I believe the correct one is you do 2 thumbs up for a single with some modifications, and then you start like that for a double, but then go into raise the roof. Now, there are some modifications, so Kyle Tucker does bus driver more for singles and doubles. Nico Horner will go into that. Yup. Dansby, unfortunately, just does a simple one-hand thumbs up. But yeah, you guys know I like a progression, so I think that's cool that you go from thumbs up into raise the roof. Thumbs up is a little bit lame, but I kind of like raise the roof. That feels sort of exciting. I like the modifications you can make off it, so this is really not bad. I would say this is sort of in that C to B tier. Again, I'm feeling generous today. I like a progression, so I'm going to put the Cubs in the B tier. Overall, the NL pretty good this year, but as soon as I say that, I got to take it down a notch. So next up, we got the Milwaukee Brewers, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. It kind of looks like this timeout thing, a little, bing, bing, bing. Really low energy across the board from the Brewers, and some guys just don't even do it, so the participation isn't great. This one kind of feels like a dud to me. I would like to see the Brewers step it up a little bit, bring a little bit more energy. So yeah, I mean, this is just classically a D tier in my opinion. Okay, next up we've got the St. Louis Cardinals, and I like the Cardinals one. So for single, they sort of do small wings, little birdie, and then they do big wings for a double. So I think this is really fun. Obviously, it's a reference to their name, the Cardinals. Everybody's bought in, which I think is fun. I think it's fun to do the big wings on second when you do that. So I think this is above average. This is a solid B tier, just a good celebration across the board. You even got Nolan Arenado doing it. So good job by the Cardinals. And next up, we've got the Pittsburgh Pirates. And honestly, guys, I have no idea what their celebration is. Pirates fans, please help me out, but it seems like they don't have one. Occasionally I'll see something like this, but most of the time I see like Brian Hayes get on first and he does absolutely nothing. So yeah, usually if a team doesn't have a celebration, I put them in the F tier. But of course, the Pirates do have the best guy at celebrations in Major League Baseball, and that is Andrew McCutchen. Just please enjoy McCutchen doing his thing here for a minute. His main one is sort of the shadow boxing, but he does all sorts of weird stuff. So McCutchen himself is going to pull them up to D tier. But Pirates, this is 2 years in a row now, no celebration. Please get something going next year, please. Okay, next up we've got the San Francisco Giants, and I'm not exactly sure what this is. Giants fans, please help me out here. I've looked all over. Apparently this is some sort of Bay Area reference, so that's pretty cool. But again, I don't know what it is. Just in of itself, it looks pretty low-key, sort of like in that same vein as the Phils, where it's like, okay, I think there's a meaning here, not totally sure. Everybody's bought in, which is great. I'm going to assume there's some sort of cool meaning here. So because of that, I'm going to have them slightly above the Phils. I'm going to put the Giants in the C tier. And I do like that, like Devers, as soon as Devers came, he started to do it. So that's always a good sign of a good celebration. But yeah, not quite sure what this one is. So sort of like just a neutral C tier for the Giants. And next up, we've got the Colorado Rockies. And for them, they just basically do a side stab, just a little, sometimes they'll get the leg in there, but yeah, this is just pretty low key. I mean, it's not bad, but it's just, I don't know, it's not satisfying enough for me, especially for a double. I get a double in Major League Baseball and I have to go, it's just like, come on. Now, in my research, I did, I did see Zach Veen with this celebration, which is pretty wild. But yeah, across the board, I just think this is a little too low key for the Rockies. If you do this for a single and then do something else for a double, that has potential for like B tier. But you just do this across the board, I don't know, man. I think that's a D tier. So yeah, I'm sorry, Rockies. This is just not my cup of tea. Okay, only a few left. And we're going to go to the Arizona Diamondbacks. And theirs is mainly jump shot. So just sort of, occasionally they have a little heart mixed up in there. I'm pretty sure that's a heart. And I'm surprised I haven't seen more teams do jump shot. This is a very natural celebration. Like if I was a kid in Little League and I got a hit, I would maybe do jump shot just naturally. So I think that's pretty fun. I like a little progression there. You got the heart mixed in. I would say solid to above average participation on the team. So yeah, they're sort of between that C and B tier for me. It's kind of been a rough year for the D-backs. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to throw you a bone. I'm going to put the D-backs in the B tier. It's been a rough year. Good participation. You've got Ketel Marte. Yeah, B tier for the Diamondbacks. Okay, and next up we've got the San Diego Padres, and for them, Hang 10 is back. Now, the Padres have a slight variation, which is that they kind of go up and down a little bit for some guys on second. But again, I personally do not like Hang 10. It is just, as we can see, lots of teams do it before. I will give the Padres a little bit of slack because they live in San Diego, which is a surfer town. So maybe you could say that has a little local flair. But I mean, come on, like let's let this go. Let's find something new here. The Padres had such a cool celebration last year. So this is just, in my opinion, this is just disappointing for a team that's as fun fun as the Padres. So I'm going to have them a little bit above. So I'm going to put them in C tier because I'm going to say maybe Hang 10's kind of like a local connection. But come on, guys, Hang 10. Let's let it go. And last but not least, we're going to wrap it up with the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is probably one of the most well-known and definitely the most polarizing celebrations. So a single's really easy. You just sort of do a swipe across the eyes. And this is a reference to this Ohtani commercial, that's just funny. Like, that's funny that they're making fun of him like that. And then on second base, you do the Freddie dance, and that goes into the eye swipe. So the Freddie dance, apparently he was doing some dance at a gala in 2023, and the team thought it was really funny, so now they're making fun of him. So yeah, the polarizing thing is the dance. I know a lot of people don't like the dance, which I totally get, but personally, I kind of like that they're making fun of themselves. This is a team with a lot of big expectations on them, so I like that they don't take themselves too seriously. It's also totally original, and there's a progression from a single to a double. Everybody's having fun. There's really good participation. So that checks all the boxes for me. And I know a lot of people wouldn't like to dance like that, or some people are just like think that's weird, but this team really likes it. And I think that's what a celebration's all about. They like it. They're having fun. They don't take themselves too seriously. So yeah, I'm going to put the Dodgers in A tier. I really like their celebration. So there you go. Much better list than last year. I think everybody across the board really stepped up their game. Only a couple F tiers, so almost every single team had a celebration. So that's great. Only one S tier this year, but overall, I thought it was a really good year for celebrations. But what do you think? Do you agree with this list? Anybody up, down? Did I miss anything? I tried to do the best research that I could, but maybe I missed something. So please let me know in the comments what you think. And thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you'd like to see any videos like this in the future. Had a lot of fun putting this one together, so I hope you enjoyed.